People that live with fatal diseases, I don't think we're so scared of death and the process of dying. I think we're scared of all the joy we're going to miss.
You have such an incredible story, not just in the journey that you've lived in your battle with cancer, but also as an innovator transforming the dynamic complexities of the healthcare system. I want to take a step back, though, and rewind to that very, very profound, life-changing moment when you got that call with the diagnosis. And I would love to hear, what was your first reaction?
So when I first got the call that I was being diagnosed with cancer, and at the time they didn't say multiple myeloma, they just said they felt that I had a cancer. My first reaction was, well, maybe that's okay because, you know, we are making progress in cancer. But then when I found out which one I had, and I found out it was uncommon, it was 100% fatal, and I started studying and realized there were no drugs in the pipeline, I felt helpless and hopeless, to be honest with you.
What was that transition to actually saying, okay, maybe I can harness this in a way I didn't expect?
This is surprising because everyone would look at my twin sister and I think we looked identical, but I wasn't sure we were. We'd never been tested. When I found out I did have an identical twin for a stem cell transplant, it made me different than anybody else. So I was thinking in the back of my mind, well, maybe I will be different. Maybe I will live longer. And I think the more I saw the passion amongst the small group of scientists that were working in the field of myeloma, I thought if I could just create an engine underneath them, maybe I could create fast-moving science and have an impact.
You had extraordinarily ambitious goals for the foundation, yet at the same time you were living the realities of this disease. How were you able to maintain the energy to defy the odds in both areas of your lives?
I kept going because I could see the progress. When you think about where we were taking the foundation initially, it was, can we raise enough money to attract scientists to this field of myeloma? And the more I realized it, when I did that outreach and I started doing fundraising, and so many friends and companies and everybody were trusting in me and saying, you know, we think she will do something special, that barrier was overcome. And I thought, these people are going to get behind me. And then when I could see grants going out the door and research starting, that was phenomenal. And every time I built the next model and I saw the progress, it just motivated me. The real thing that motivates me is I see the challenge. Every time we overcome an obstacle, a new challenge emerges. And I think to myself, we've got to solve that. We've got to solve it, and we have to solve it urgently. And I feel like being a patient and having that urgency, I want to keep going.
What surprised you most about yourself when you took on the challenge of this foundation?
The tenacity. I think the hardest part for me, I remember, you know, calling my team and saying, listen, when I come in tomorrow, I don't have any hair. I remember calling a staff meeting and saying, if you see me hiding in my office a little bit, it's because the therapies I'm on, you know, have side effects and I feel awkward. It's not against you, I just feel a little awkward right now. When I was moving through transplant, there were times when I was so sick, I thought I would never, ever, ever go back to work, ever. The ability to get through those things, you know, and juggle your life, I will never, ever lose my passion for cancer patients. I know that pain, I know that suffering, and I don't want it to happen to other people.
I would love to get your perspectives on how this type of experience has changed your view on life. What are those other aspects of your life where these types of emotions and experiences have impacted you in more challenging ways than others would expect?
I think because I do face my mortality every time I go for test results, and if something comes back and it's wrong, I will tell you, I don't look and say, oh my gosh, I ran the most amazing business. I always look and go, oh my gosh, what about my children? That whole family piece is always so important to me, and I think having that piece really stable around me has been phenomenal. I'm just hugely lucky that I have a great husband, and we have a phenomenal partnership in raising our children. So I think that's been a blessing. When I see the children, the hard part is, I always say to myself, I cannot believe I now got to see my daughter to college. I got to decorate her dorm room. I saw her cheer at her first football game up in Boston, but always in the back of my mind is, will I see that wedding? Will I see her marry? Will I know where my son is going to go to college? You don't ever, ever, with a fatal disease, take those things for granted. You never do. When you see them, you're so grateful. You always wish for the next one, but you do try to live and appreciate that moment. But on the business side, even though I said to you the family part is so important, my job is saving my own life and saving all those patients around me. And I think that's what made it so entrepreneurial, is that my whole focus in business changed, and that all of a sudden I was much more willing to take risk. I was much more willing to take those risks quickly. And I also understood, again, that need to work with people that would lift and inspire and innovate with me. And I think that's the intensity of how we've been able to build the foundation.